So thank you everybody for coming. It's a real pleasure to be here. I think in this meetup, given the audience and where we are, we're really going to focus on, hey, what's new in OpenEBS? We're going to get a little bit hands-on. We're going to show you a demo here in a second of what is kind of a pivotal moment in the history of at least this project, and I would argue of the company, which is O.2. So it's a new release, right? If you want to hear my thoughts about containers and why I think it's important to use them to change the world, maybe you saw my keynote yesterday, or you can look online. So I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about, hey, what's new in OpenEBS, what's new in O.2 specifically, all right? And then I really look forward to getting to know you guys. So this is all about people working together, okay, to change the world, or at least change storage, or at least make stateful workloads on containers more viable. So, any questions? So, containerized storage for containers, as you all know, our thesis is in part that instead of simply taking an existing nice storage stack and cramming it into a container, what we should do is say, oh, wait a minute, containers. This means potentially you can do microservices. This means maybe you should refactor the app, which is itself the storage controller. And so the short of it is what we're doing and what you're doing, helping us do as a community in OpenEBS, is refactoring and building from the ground up a solution that is really built around and for containers, right? So, but that was probably clear just from this drawing, right? We run on and we help containers. And this is just the point. I mean, I'm a huge believer, as many, I think everyone in this room is, in the power of Kubernetes, of DevOps-like workflows, where really for the first time the promise of software defined is more than a beautiful marketing message, but it's actually, I was calling it yesterday, developer defined. So you work on your software, you add some simple human readable and machine interpretable YAML code, and that, via the magic of not just Kubernetes, but Kubernetes or other similar orchestrators, gets interpreted, and voila, the infrastructure dances to your tune as the developer. This is tremendous. This is the kind of thing that has let little companies like Google and Facebook at least change their industries, if not the world. It comes down to developer productivity, right? And so I will say one kind of preachy thing that I said yesterday too. You're working at a place that is not maniacally focused on your productivity as a developer. Well, we're hiring. Quit, move on, force them somehow. Don't be shy. Because the world really is being transformed by organizations that are built around the developer, and they get barriers out of the way of the developer. And I don't just mean like free food, although that's cool, but not necessarily a requirement. I mean things like this, where this kind of fully automated pipeline, admittedly summarized in far too brief a fashion, where you can commit code day one of your new job into production ideally. You can get those fast feedback loops. That makes you able to be a better developer, to write better software. So this is, in short, nirvana. This is, in short, not nirvana. This is kind of what happens when you try to run stateful workloads, databases, etc. Even we were talking about logging yesterday, potentially, on containers today when you're running your own environment. It's a simplification again, but basically what you do is you hardwire your containers through a plug-in type architecture to your underlying storage. And it kind of works. You just have to treat these containers radically different than you treat these containers over here that are stateless. And our argument is that's not good. And actually, if you look at the market today, we're kind of caught in this catch-22 where folks are hesitant to put a lot of, except for maybe on EBS, on Amazon, purely stateful workloads on containers, in part because of this tight coupling and what that implies. So in short, what we say is you could almost collapse this into this, right? Let's keep the workflow, your productivity, your experience the same. And let's really inherit intent from the YAML and make it so. And what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of like how. We need your input into what you think about what you're seeing and about what O.2 does. Yeah, again, a radical simplification, but one of the ideas is that let's put co-resident over time the controller with the container. So let's containerize the controllers themselves. But you pretty quickly get into needing something like a policy engine to make sense out of where's the storage, where's my controllers, how is this all going to work as well. So we're going to get into the details, but the nirvana is to just, hey, I'm writing code, oh, this happens to be stateful. You may never get to the point where it's just fully, but you know, you put in the YAML, okay, I'm going to need this kind of storage capabilities, and it happens, and yet you can still treat those storage controllers, and in fact, the containers themselves that have the stateful workloads on them, much in the way that we treat normal containers today, which is basically not very nice. It's short of it, right? I mean, these are ephemeral things. Being able to treat your storage controllers an ephemeral object is kind of a radical concept, and that's where we're headed. We think as an industry, not just ourselves, but our friends at Gluster as well. So where are we with OpenEBS 0.2? Well, today, it's not just suitable for stars on GitHub, although I expect everyone has given us at least 1 star. If you can figure out a way to get more than 1 star, you know, have at it. But you can also play with it. And we will, I think, officially release in the next couple of days. And we have a vagrant environment, so you can, you know, vagrant up and not get just OpenEBS, but get a Kubernetes environment and get some workloads on it. And you can have the fun of actually driving workload into OpenEBS and killing or freezing, eliminating individual containers and seeing the storage still work. So pretty cool stuff. So that getting going experience, we think, has gotten quite a bit improved, and it's non-trivial. But feel free to give us, obviously, feedback on any of this. It's back to your productivity. So we want you to be able to say, what is this OpenEBS stuff? Obviously, you already know, but the standard new developer, what's this OpenEBS stuff? In 15 minutes, you should have an experience that says, this is pretty cool, or, oh, it does this, but not that. We want you to be able to get your hands dirty that fast. So kind of a basic thing we needed to get done, or start to get done, is integration with Kubernetes. Some flavor of high availability to protect the stateful workloads. You're going to see block storage in the demo here in a second, and some early versions of snapshots. Now, as a company, CloudByte knows snapshots really well in data protection, and so you're going to see a lot more that makes us more and more sort of favorable for large enterprises and small enterprises around data protection. So we're starting with some local snapshots, and you'll also see data backup into S3. So hugely proud of what the team has done already, and it's not trivial. And the amount of work that's going into this, the fact that this is being done in Go, and you know, we have brilliant people, but understanding the ins and outs of operating storage via Kubernetes is not trivial. It's only been done X times by X teams. Doing storage in Go, non-trivial, hasn't been done a lot. So really proud of what the team's already pulled off. And you probably can't read this, but we're going to show this to you in a second. But it's just showing, again, intent in a YAML file and the ability to actually express that intent and have OpenEBS pick that up and make it so. So the next slide is the demo. You know, we're growing OpenEBS, we're growing this business, I think, in the right way in this community, which is word of mouth. So rather than just assume we know what you're going to tell your friends about us, we have some ideas, you know, that you may want to take away. But the upshot is, don't be shy. And a perfectly good way to contribute to a community like OpenEBS is to is to just, you know, a lot of people are hanging out with us on Facebook. That's fine. I mean, that's valuable, right? Or obviously bug reports, or grabbing it and getting into the depth, or talking to Kieran about, hey, I want to work at the file system level. That's all good too. But my point is, you know, talking about it, asking questions about it, from us or from others who are in the community who ought to know about it as well. Doesn't have to be OpenEBS. Start asking the questions in communities about how am I going to do stateful workloads on in my containerized environments. Have you guys heard about OpenEBS? What do you think about it versus Buster? Pick one, right? Dive in, ask the questions. That gets the whole broader open source and, let's say, container DevOps community thinking, you know what, now seems to be the time to address this Achilles heel, if you will, this fundamental limitation in the adoption of containers. So talk about it, ask questions today, but also just wherever you hang out on